There couldn't be a better movie franchise to talk about the making of than Sonic the Hedgehog, and I'm sure you all know why. With the second film right around the corner, it's the perfect time to dive into the behind the scenes of Sonic 2 and its predecessor. Hey, it's Patrice, and today we're going to look at the making of the Sonic films. And yes, there will be clips of that first design, so viewers' discretion is advised.
I mean, yes, it's a child, but it's not mine.
It's not your child.
Everybody knows that it's tough making a sequel just as good as the first movie. Luckily for the Sonic movie, there's still a lot to pull from in the games, and what we've seen so far is just the beginning of the universe's expansion. In fact, in an interview with the film's director Jeff Fowler, he states he had to hold back introducing more characters, for the sake of giving us a movie that was focused solely on the Hedgehog to start with. It was great to make a film that introduced Sonic on his own, Fowler states. We established the pre-Eggman version of Robotnik, now we're just getting to open up the world and tell a much bigger story. Fowler is also on record stating that the eclectic level design in the games was a huge source of inspiration when writing the script, quoting the game's tendency to mash up genres as the blueprint. You have action, you have adventure, you have fantasy, you have sci-fi, and you can pull from all of it and it works. This is really how we approach the scripting of this one. The sequel is also set with the task of portraying a Robotnik that is more reminiscent of the character from the games. Sonic 1 featured Jim Carrey playing the role of the Doctor before he became Eggman, who was more grounded yet still a bit on edge.
Now that's what I call good cop, bad cop.
This time Jim Carrey gets to go all out because Eggman is now 100% a mad doctor. Fowler comments on the transformation stating, "As incredible as Jim was in the first movie, I feel like this version of Robotnik has allowed him to just go even further and tap into all the stuff that everyone loves about Jim Carrey. He just loves playing this character, he has so much fun doing it, and brings so many ideas every day to the set. It's just completely his creation, and I think audiences are just going to have such an amazing time with it. How can you not? The mustache is amazing, he has literally transformed himself into the Eggman that the fans know from the games, and it's awesome."
Human beings are unreliable and stupid, and I care very little about them.
When Jim Carrey gets into character, he's fully committed, as noted by the fact that in the first movie, he was high for a lot of the filming. Not intentionally, but because the glue from his prosthetic mustache was right up his nose. Yeah, this is why our elementary teachers told us not to sniff glue. Unless you're Jim Carrey playing Dr. Robotnik, of course. Anyway, that same dedication to his role extends to the second film, as we see photos on set of Carrey being lifted into the air with wires. Now, this was obviously done for the scenes in which he absorbs the Master Emerald's powers, but the fact that they could have used the green screen to get this done easily, but chose to go the practical route, not only shows Carrey's commitment to the character, but that the crew was working just as hard to give us the best sequel that they could. And that's not even where it ends, because there's more photos on set of actual tanks and helicopters populating the streets of the second Sonic film. Eggman must really be on some other stuff this time around if they need the military might of GUN to interfere. Unfortunately, even though all these tanks and helicopters are real, they're most likely going to be fodder for when the Doctor gets that Master Emerald power up, so RIP to all the soldiers taking L's to progress the plot. Anyway, like I mentioned briefly, the military equipment is owned by none other than GUN, a fictional military branch in the Sonic universe introduced in the Sonic Adventure series. If you look closely, there's even a little nod to their origins on the helicopters that say SA2, the abbreviation for Sonic Adventure 2. It's nice to see that the team is continuing to spread the references to the games throughout the next movie. Those on-set photos also reveal puppet stand-ins for Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails to help guide the placement for animation during editing. We can see that in the photos or videos that the puppets switch between having their full body or only the head moving around. Assumedly, they take the parts of the puppet off that will end up having the most motion during the actual scene. We can see that there's even a stand-in for each of the trio's spin dash attacks. Fun fact, during the filming of Sonic 1 before the redesign, the puppet looked exactly like the first version of Sonic, so I can only imagine how unsettled some of the crew members might have felt having to look at this all day. Oh god. While the marketing isn't technically a part of the making of the movie, it's still a very crucial element within the timeline of pre-production to the release of a film. So I thought it may be worth mentioning a few interesting facts about the promotion of the Sonic sequel, starting with one many fans may be familiar with. One of the promotional posters of Sonic 2 is actually really neat, and it's not just because it doesn't follow the modern film poster circle arrangement. It's because it's actually a reference to the Sonic 2 cover art. From the placement of Sonic and Tails to Robotnik aggressively grabbing the number 2, it's a really faithful reimagining of the original. What's more is that if you look closely, you can see Knuckles' eyes blending into the vibrant red number 2, which could also be a reference to the powerful echidna sneakily hiding in the bushes in the Sonic 3 cover. Even the poster's text, "Welcome to the next level," is a reference to one of Sega's slogans while promoting their systems in the 90s.
Welcome to the next level!
Colleen O'Shaughnessy is the voice actress who plays Tails the Fox in the video games, and has also landed the role of Sonic's iconic sidekick in the sequel film. This is a super rare occurrence as Hollywood tends to get big names to do voiceover work in order to draw more of an audience, a practice that many people have spoken out against because it cuts opportunities from professional voice actors. Well, Hollywood was being Hollywood again and didn't include either Colleen O'Shaughnessy or Tika Sumpter in the poster credits, even though they played huge roles in the film. Luckily, after fans spoke out about the missing names, the crew quickly turned around and created new posters which included the credits for both actresses. This was an extremely surprising turn of events, especially in O'Shaughnessy's case, as she's a voice actress next to big name actors, something Hollywood loves to shy away from. Hopefully this will help the executives understand that big names don't always bring in big money, and using seasoned voice actors is still more than a viable option. One more quick fact about the marketing of Sonic 2 is that if you look closely, there's a slight difference between the American and Japanese posters. Tails in the Japanese poster looks noticeably more happy to be there than his American counterpart. Why such a small change between the countries though? Well, we might find the answer by digging into Kirby's marketing, which has consistently been pulling the same stunt with his game cover art and marketing materials. Nintendo has stated that the US market wants a strong Kirby rather than a cute one, which is probably also the reason they made the change to Tails, since he can also be considered a cute character. Honestly, I wouldn't mind Tails smiling in the poster though, it feels more welcoming. The two biggest names attached to this project are undoubtedly Jim Carrey and Idris Elba. Both are well-loved and respected actors who shine in almost every role they're in. The Sonic movies are no different, as we already know Carrey is having a ball playing Robotnik, and even though we haven't seen Elba's Knuckles in full yet, the fact that he's getting his own spin-off series should be more than enough evidence that he played the role well. In an interview answering fan questions, both Carrey and Elba tell us exactly what they personally bring to their roles, with Elba stating, "In the recording of my character, I would just bring some oddities to him in his personality. There's one scene I can't tell you too much about, but he talks about ice cream, and he talks about ice cream pretty seriously." Carrey on his portrayal of Robotnik says, "I think Robotnik is the perfect fit for me because I am a master playing people who are filled with self-loathing and who compensate for it with a veneer of total confidence and even an air of superiority." Of course, even though they're the two biggest names on the project, we can't talk behind the scenes without talking about the voice actor who brings the blue blur to life, Ben Schwartz. Schwartz nailed his performance as Sonic, as he had to navigate the controversy of the first design at the same time. Fortunately for him, he didn't have to do as many reshoots as his co-stars because his performance was entirely digital. In order to breathe life into the Hedgehog, the production crew took advantage of facial motion capture technology to transport the actor's performance onto Sonic. In order to do this, they placed black dots on his face called tracking points in order to capture every movement that they can, then transport it into a 3D model. The same can be said for both Tails and Knuckles, as Schwartz, O'Shaughnessy, and Elba all do a fantastic job bringing the iconic trio to the big screen via facial tracking. Now that we know that Sonic 3 has been greenlit, we can only imagine the possibilities of how they will continue to expand the Sonic cinematic universe. I actually did a whole video on that topic on our channel, and you should definitely check it out if you're interested in more speculation. Shameless plug aside, director Jeff Fowler has been thinking of ideas for the third installment back even before the second finished production. In an interview with Collider, he says, "Of course, even if somebody didn't ask me to be thinking about ideas for future installments, it would be impossible not to. Even as we're working through the visual effects and animation on this film, it's impossible not to already get excited and to be starting to scheme about all the directions the story could go, what new characters coming in, the impacts they could have. It's the best part of the creative process when you just kind of have a blank canvas and you can really just start to have blue sky ideas, even if again, it's not an official capacity. If the request comes through to start laying the blueprints for another Sonic film, I will be armed and ready with all kinds of ideas. I would love to get that opportunity. So expect the third film to be just as thrilling and exciting as the second one is looking. I like to think that it's nothing short of a miracle that the live action Sonic franchise has the life, energy, and support that it does today, considering its comeback from what can be seen as one of the biggest film setbacks of all time. More of the story here is don't cross that line into the uncanny valley, folks. Listen to the fans, and that's all you need to profit. Oh yeah, and make sure the film is actually good. That's all I got for you guys this time. Also, rumor has it that Big the Cat will be making his debut in Sonic 2.